He says, whenever I'm on the warpath or I'm out scouting, he said, I keep hearing you. And so what he's basically saying is that when I finish all what I've got to do, he said, I'm anxious to get back to you. So you Zuya Bala Chai. So whenever I'm out scouting,
Uh-huh.
Nachihu. Where's Nachihu? Nachihu means I hear you.
Uh-huh.
So I'll drop everything when I'm done and come back to you.
Oh.
Yomakshiche. So it's just a how would you call it, a warrior's song, and or his wife,
Uh-huh.
yeah, or his Winucha, some say Wiya, some say
Yeah.
Kaichu, some say wife nowadays, I guess.
Mihasani.
Yeah, so they call, it's a warrior's love song, I'd say. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I'd call it that.
It's kind of like the Cinnabon referred to that as a Napeshni. Sunoya.
Peshni means don't be afraid. Yeah, don't
Yeah.
run off.
Yeah, that's what they call that song. That style of song is about their loved ones. Gives them courage to stay in the they use it to give themselves courage because they sing about songs of the loved ones at home. That Cinnabon call
Yeah,
that now Peshni.
yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
But anyway, that's not the one. That's not the one you were making for us, though, eh? For our school song.
Not yet.
Oh,
No,
huh.
the other one is.
Oh,
No,
we thought that was the main one. All we could figure out, and there was I'm going to war, and then when I get back or something like that. We
Yeah,
couldn't
it's a good
figure out
thing
the
you're trying
rest.
to announce that one. Then I almost
Yeah,
announced it as the new song. That's all good.
yeah. Well, remember I
As
was
we all
telling you
know.
about that old style song? That's what
Yeah.
that I
Oh,
figured that something like that was going on, but no, we'll just use Bob's song then. You got that?
oh,
Yeah. Okay. One eye. Yeah.
Hey ha ya, hey ha ya, hey ya, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. Hey ha ya, hey ya ya, hey ya, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. Hey ha ya, hey ha ya. Hey ha ya, hey ha ya, hey ha ya, hey ha yo, hey yo. Fort Beck Community College, Ukiepi no yo, me too gashi dagush kashka yogi piano yo, wata pepe agi tabi ihachi ya bino, hey yo, hey yo. Hey ha ya, hey ha ya, hey ya, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. Hey ha ya, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. Hey ha ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey yo, hey yo. Fort Beck Community College, Ugie no yo, me too gashi dagush kashka yogi piano yo, wata pebi agik tabi ihachi ya bino, hey yo, hey yo. Hey ha ya, hey ha ya, hey ya, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. Hey ha ya, hey ya yo, hey ya, hey ungi ebino yo yo. Me too gashi dagush kashka yogi piano yo yo. Wata pebi hagi tabi ihachi ya bino. Hey yo hey yo. Hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha hey ha ya hey ha hey hey yo. Fort Peck Community College, Uki Epino, yo. Me too, gashi, dagush, kashka, yogi, piano, yo. Wata pepe, agik tabi, ihachi, ya, pino, hey, yo.
Mitaku Epi, Yushke Wanchia Kampi Chantewa Stea, Hana Pechus Apto. Ke Elijah Hopkins Demie, Wana wa Chinja wa Kapa, Wunspe Wankantuya, Dachia Daya Hipido, Mitaku Epi. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Buffalo Chasers podcast. I am Elijah Hopkins, and we are at week number 20 of the Buffalo Chasers podcast episode. Topic of the day, Tiwahe. So before we get started, as always, we try to start us off in a good way with a traditional prayer. As Nekshi Wamnisha Ge, if you would help us out with a prayer in a good way. Neksh.
Toshka Daya Daya Ichano Hecha Tola Wupila Chichia. How Mitaki Epi Daya Hipia Naha podcast Omnichia Naha Ushia Ke Nahomakia Nawachekia. My relatives, again, we come together like this in a good way, but to kind of help us understand the importance of not really compromising the integrity of our spiritual ways. We're addressing this in a spiritual way to help us understand that if there's questions you may have that would present an opportunity for ukhbagi or tobacco questions, we want to kind of cover that, because again, this virtual experience is affording us an opportunity to again make sure that we always maintain that indication of respect. So we start out in a prayerful way. So if you can help me out, and however you go to this higher power, this spiritual energy, I'd really appreciate that. How hatukashila na wakhantanka tadeu ya doba unchi makana makaina na komitaki epi wanagi makpea ktaya ge hocho ka kta hiopo nichope ushia kenitaki epi naha giksi apo naha mitaki epi waya wa oyateki naha okia chawa ushui chalapo giksi apo mitaki epi waya wa oyateki won spekia wichasha bile wea bile chanku washte upi okia chawa ushi wichalapo atukashila na wakhantanka ushia ke naha oyate oyasi chanku luta aga omani o wichakia po ushi wichalapo giksi apo mitaki epi agichita oyate kizuya ekta naha wichasha bile wea bile chanku washte upi na o wichakia po giksi apo mitaki epi naha wayaza pi unchi makao mani ushia ke mitaki epi naha gixiapo naha mitaki epi chante yoksi jo mani o wichakiapo ushi wichalapo atukashila wakantanka ekte wichasha mialo dagunis lonoishi naha omakia na wachekia chante washte ambe tukile ohe chaje mita wamnisha ge doba imachiapi omakia ho mitaki oasi wamakashka oasi.
Wopida Dekshi, beautiful prayer as usual. Again, relatives, week number 20 of the Buffalo Chasers podcast. Before we get started on discussion, a few announcements. For week number 18, we have some drawing winners. I want to get the word out. Our
Right
winner of
on.
one of our jackets, one of our Cho jackets.
Get chicken dinner now.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Oh,
Howashte goes by the alias of Howashte. I don't know what his English name is, but on Facebook world, he's Howashte. Good voice.
good voice.
So
Good voice.
congratulations,
Oh,
good voice. You are the winner of a Cho Buffalo Chasers jacket. Also, we have the winner of the Kindle Fire tablet is winner chicken dinner, Ashley Dawn, ladies and gentlemen.
all right. There you go.
And then we don't stop there. We're playing a little bit of catch up. We got week 19 as well. So week 19, the winner of a Cho Buffalo Chasers jacket is winner chicken dinner, Doreen Grand Boys. Congratulations.
Right on. Right on.
Then also the Kindle Fire winner for week 19 is Roxanne Gorno. Winner chicken.
Yeah, there you go. Right on. Right on. Good job,
So,
sister.
so if you're local, you can redeem those prizes here at Student Services, the War Eagle Vision Building, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30 p.m. One of our staff will be there to hook you up. Although we are shut down just due to some of the cold, the president took pity on us and said you can go home today, but we'll definitely be back for sure. So just be on the lookout. If you are not within the area, just send us your mailing address and we'll hook you up. We'll send it on out to you. So again, congratulations to the winners. And then also for all of our FPCC students that are on this Zoom call, $25 gift card. $25 gift card. So just hang out with us for the duration and we'll let our staff know. You got to go in and sign for it at Student Services. But talk to our staff. And if you don't live here, we'll be able to mail something out to you. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And so those of you that are following us on social media, on our Facebook live stream, the way that you get in on these weekly drawings is by giving us a like or giving us a share, putting your name in somewhere in the comment section. If you do have any questions, comment, just place them right in there. We'll try to address them on the fly, but we will try and announce those winners every week. So, and to participate in that drawing, it does not matter if you're a FPCC student. You just have to be a viewer somewhere, and that's how you can get your name in that drawing. So just be on the lookout for that every week. That's our process. So so today, relatives was visiting with Dekshi, Tommy here, and he was thinking maybe a good place to start for discussion anyways is the nuclear family. And I don't even know, I've heard different words. Could be Titakuye, and then there's Tiwahe, and there's Yoshpaye. So that might be a good spot to kick off discussion. And again, I'm really appreciative that we have Dekshi Earl Bullhead in the house on the call with this man. He's really a great resource of knowledge and language and beautiful voice. So wherever you want to start us off on this discussion, Deksh, I'll turn it over to you.
How wopile chicha toshka. Again, my relatives, again, what we're going to talk about is the nuclear family and of course, the extended family, because to us, that's really important. The Tiwahe, we refer to that as our people that live with us. And then a Tioshpai is the ones that don't live with us, but they're still considered relatives. That's our extended family. And so as we do these things, there's certain particular places and in the teepee where they would sleep and certain responsibilities to maintain that cleanliness and stuff. Because if you think about it, we never really had the need for immunizations and stuff like that. You know why? Because we were such clean people, very hygienic, and we knew how to take care of ourselves. And the body has a way of healing itself, and we always had the respect for that. And like now, reason I bring that up is because nowadays it's like we want to take a pill for everything, that pharmaceutical stuff, because we go to IHS and all they do is write pills out and pull our teeth instead of fixing them and that kind of sort of thing. But long ago, Lila Hehani or Nina Wanangash, a long time ago, they used to do this because we'd keep ourselves clean, we'd keep our living quarters clean, all these things. And people had within the family, they had a responsibility to that relationship that existed within the family. And of course, we had our own places to sleep and all that good stuff. And again, for the Dakota and Lakota, we were matriarchal. The reason for that is because the wife had so much responsibilities. The grandma, the aunties, they all had the responsibilities to keeping that structure intact. And when I say structure, I mean the family, and helping us to understand. And if you realize, when a baby is born, some the first teachers were the moms, were the parents. The first teachers were the parents, and in respects to that, a lot of our from 0 to 3 years old, a lot of our instinctive survival techniques were implemented into us at that time. For those of you that understand the importance of that first teacher being the parent, and then from that, after he got 3 or 4 years old and walking around and doing things hokshila, then they're busy. They want to get into everything. They want to help out. That's why they're referred to as hokshila. And um, we would be taught in a different way by the men, especially by the uncles, and the girls would be taught by the aunts. The reason for that was that because if I was your dad and I looked after you and I was trying to teach you, I'd kind of cover for you. But the uncles were very straightforward with you. They would teach you for the benefit of your growth, not necessarily for protecting you. So it's kind of like that. And the aunties the same way, because we really loved our children. The reason we loved them because we referred to our children as wakayaja, and we believed that they just come from the spirit world. They just gifted to us by the spiritual energy that brought it here, that wahatanka. They brought that little spirit to us, and now it's up to us to take care of it for the time as they prepare themselves for as they prepare themselves to go back to that place in which they came from. As they were here, they were afforded a purpose and a dedication in that time that they spent here amongst the human beings. And so it was kind of important that our teachers were always dignified and honorable to maintain and sustain that integrity of who we are as a people. And so those responsibilities were very, very important as it relates to our upbringing. And of course, teaching us what our responsibilities were to our initial nuclear family, and at the same time recognizing our extended family, the ones that did not live with us. So Tiwahe, that's what that means. You live in the same camp. And in that process, there was milestones that were acknowledged, like the men or the boys. They were start out as wakayanja, the little people. They stand in holy, or however you want to define that. And then they went from that. This is the boys now. They went from that to hokshila, and then when they went from hokshila, they went to koshka, and then from koshka they went to wicha, and then from wicha you had to do something honorable or dignified for the sake of your family to achieve wichasha, status of wichasha. And then when you learned enough and you carried this wisdom, you went from wichasha to what wichakchala. And again, that meant that you were older person, that you kept dear to your heart, that you carried that wisdom and you shared that in such a gracious way. The women, on the other side, when they were born, also they were wakayaja. And then from wakayaja, they went to wincinchala, that little girl, that shared that you were a little girl. And then when you went through that stage in your life where you became a woman, they would refer to you as Wia, and that is in reference to the moon, because you were coming of age. And during that time, from Wakayaja all the way up to this status of Wia, you were taught the responsibilities or the disciplines of developing yourself and becoming stronger to look after the protectors and the providers, the men in your life. And the men, in their representation, they're always taken care of. They're always clean. They're always healthy. They're always well fed. Those sorts of things because of the women, the matriarchal society looked at it like that. And then as they got over that Wia status and they went into Winukshala, and the way it was shared with me is like you could refer to that Winukshala status as the blossoming of a flower, or coming of age, and you went through that what they call menopause, the white people, but you would never have that 28-day time anymore, and so you went to that stage in your life, and you'd become Winukshala at that time. But in that whole process, what I was talking about is I feel in the achievement of our milestones, you were always acknowledged. You were also acknowledged when you went from Wakanja to Hokshila. There was a little acknowledgement. You went from Hokshila to Koshka. There was an acknowledgement, eh? And then one of the things that I think, and it was intentional, is we lost that milestone, that achievement, or that acknowledgement of, in the men's case, we cha, we cha. And people will say, well, that means raccoon. Well, no, it also means man. And in from Hokshila, when you're just messing around, doing everything, getting everybody's business and whatnot, that's why Hokshila, you're always in everything, always going around. That's what that means. But when you go to Koshka, Hokshila, you're just a little boy. When you go to Koshka, you quit hitting the girls and you start learning how to hug them. Hey, Koshka. And your relationship, you start learning how to respect the females in your life. You start learning how to be the man that you're going to become here in a bit. And they did that by, when you realized a certain age, the men, they always kind of got ego fied, didn't want to listen no more, didn't want to understand anything. They thought they knew it all. And so these little guys, they would get all tough, they get mouthy with their parents, they treat their grandparents bad, and then the parents would say, well, time for him to go. So where am I going to go? I don't want to go. And they go call the uncle over. Okay, uncles, come on over, help him out. And they would take this young boy between 12 and 14 years old or whatever, and they would set him on the hill. They get him ready and they prepare him. They take him to Hamblechia. And what that means is they would cry all night for a vision. And the vision that they cried for was affording them an opportunity from the spirits to guide them and direct them into what their purpose in life was. And then they did that based on that representation, not only of themselves, but of their family, their tribe, and all indigenous people that maintained their cultural value system in a very respectful way. And so these young boys would go sit on the hill with nothing more than a blanket, a pipe, or tobacco, whatever the case may be, if they didn't have a pipe. And they would sit there and they would cry for this vision. Even if they didn't want to sit there, the uncles were around there waiting, making sure they didn't run off and didn't get afraid of themselves as they went up there, and they fasted for 4 days with no food, no water, wishing for their guidance and their direction to come from in a spiritual way to them. And that's how we carried that on. I'm thinking that as they did these things, as this young boy or this koshka, that prepared them to become a wicha, not a raccoon, but a man. Because the reason I say that is because when you're wicha, okay, you learned how to, in your koshka, you learned how to hug girls and hold their hands and talk to them a little bit. Well, when you're wicha, you start understanding the importance of the true meaning of life, which is procreation. And as you do these things, you learned in that Wicha stage on how to be a man, how to be a family man, how to take care of your children, how to provide and protect your family. And so that Wicha stage, I think, was taken out, because what's happening currently in a contemporary way is we're going right from Koshka right to Wichasha. And to get that SA at the end of your name of Wicha, that Wichasha is representative of of this man, this Wicha, did something memorable, dignified, and honorable for the sake of his family. So therefore, when he did that and he was recognized, he became Wichasha. that with that essay on the end. That's why long time ago, a lot of our young Indian men would join the service, and people would always wonder why are you Indians joining the service? It says in your treaty you don't have to fight for the United States of America, but they went anyway. They went because they were representative of the name that they carried. They wanted to maintain that dignity and honor for the sake of sustaining the integrity of who we are as a people, to show and prove that they were able to, are trying to aspire to this milestone of Wichasha, and you become a Wichasha. That was their aspirations. And so once they did that, then they went off to war and they did a brave act in war or defense or even just serving the time. Then when they'd come back, they were referred to as Wichasha because they did something honorable and dignified for the sake of their family. Does that make sense? Yeah, think about that. Yeah, yeah. And so as we do these things, we understand the importance of these milestones that we achieved. But at the same time, we recognize that for those of you that understand that this historical um, research that was done on us as savages, that's what they referred to us as savages. They didn't think we had a belief system or anything. We didn't fulfill or have an obligation to a higher power according to them, and so they called us savages. And in that, because of that, they referred to us as heathens and pagans, somebody that didn't have a belief system or had no understanding of morality or ethics or anything like that. And here it was totally different. We had those, even more so than what their belief system afforded them, because it was so hard to be an Indian, because you were expected to achieve these milestones, especially that Wichasha status is really important. So, there's things that like this that go on, and then when you become elderly and you carried that wisdom and you were able to graciously share that wisdom in a good way, in a respectful way, you become Wichachala. Now that's the men. The women, on the other side, they started off as Wakayaja. They went from Wakayaja to Winchinjala, and that told everybody you're still Winchinjala because you're still learning. You're still in that learning stage. But once you become of age and you had this throwing of the ball or the becoming of a woman ceremony, that told everybody that through your teachings, through Wichinjala status, you understand the importance of a family, the structure of the matriarch, the Mihasani status that you were aspiring to, and a Wiya status. Then you would experience what they call the becoming of a woman ceremony. And in that, the throwing of the ball was uh, uh, it was a ceremony that they did. It's a game, but it's for women. I've never seen it. I hope my brother Earl had seen it, or he can explain that. But that was becoming of a woman, and what it dealt with was the hardships of life that one had to go through, and the women were much stronger than the men, and we were recognized as such. So that's why we were just the providers and the protectors. But the women, and under this matriarchal status, were kind of the bosses of the whole thing. And so you always respected and you revered your women, and with that status, you never disrespected them in any way. You didn't hit them or take advantage of them or anything like that. And that's why, again, in that Tioshpai, or excuse me, that Tiwahe, that's what we aspired to. That's what we were taught. And the women were key in helping us understand the importance of what I talked about initially, the hygiene, taking care of oneself, looking after one. So we didn't spread disease. So we didn't get sick and all that. And we ate the right foods. The women were in charge of all that. They were the ones that had the medicine to cure us if we got ill, or if we had sniffles or something like that. They took care of all of these things throughout our life. And in that, it helped us to understand. So I'm hoping my older brother, Che, throwing the ball ceremony,
Is
I just about had time to go cut a willow and make a cane out of it. Put it around your neck. And get,
Well, I just want to hurry up too, because I knew you wanted to
I
talk.
got a little drowsy there. Anyway, before I forget, while you were talking, Wagalakan, huh?
Oh,
We have for the last, say, 15 years, except last year, we do a pipe, not a coming about ceremony for our girls on our Melks camp.
oh, what's that?
And I think it, if all goes right in the future, the opportunity for you guys to come down and witness that and see it,
Oh,
so you can see how it's done.
Mhm.
And it's very, very moving. Every time that I've been in it, it never fails. It's really a powerful, how would you call it, experience.
Mhm.
To see these young ladies being instructed on their roles as becoming women.
yes, yes.
And the only thing I heard of about the Kapakakoliap is one of the
Uh-huh.
7 rites.
Yeah.
And what I remember about that is when I spoke to different ones, one topic was years ago they'd make a ball out of buffalo hide and buffalo hair,
Uh-huh.
and they'd actually make a pretty good sized ball. And I've seen people have them, but they would fill it with buffalo hair and then it's stitched back up and they give it to the little ones. And so little ones will throw that all over the place, and then that ball would roll all over the place and make contact with various different things. And the little ones will start chewing on it. The atchayet, you know.
Uh-huh.
And what that was doing is that their body was building an immune system to the things that were around them. So in a way, that sensitivity that was happening to them was something very special, something sacred, because their body was getting it set up for the future.
Yeah.
So these little ones would play with that ball, and then other people would touch it, or it would land on a piece of grass or something, or flower or whatever. And these kids would suck on it and touch on it to teeth, you know. And so in the process, how the immune system gets developed in a powerful
Oh.
way.
Etcha too.
So anyway, so we created well, there's quite a few of us involved in it, but there's a song that we used down there. One of the local elderly guys made a song for them, and the girls are kept for 4 days being instructed on sewing and medicine, tanning, all the various different responsibilities that they're going to have. Elderly women, grandmas, and would come in and instruct them. And so those girls would stay in their teepees for 4 days, and along with the women that come in there and run the sweats for them and things like that. But I wanted to clarify one thing, and I'm learning that I hear it going on all the time. But when you talk at patrilineal, when you talk about your father's side, your grandmother on your father's side is pronounced kunshi.
Ah.
And then on your matrilineal side, well, let me just get this straight. Yeah, on the mom's side, all right, it's umchi. So your grandmother, your mom's side is pronounced umchi.
Oh,
So they
etcha
make
too.
those
Oh.
two distinctions.
Uh-huh.
Nowadays, these kids are all calling both sides unchi,
Gee, yeah.
right? But in reality,
Oh,
there's still that
that.
distinction, that gender distinction.
Yeah.
And then I've often looked at many of the words that are used to identify brothers and sisters and all that stuff. And through experience, you know, sometimes books don't provide what you're looking for. I mean, there are a wonderful thing and a resource to have, but actual hands-on, for some reason, experience. I was underneath my car fixing a transmission line one time, and I told my boy to go get a specific wrench, but he didn't know how to read at the time. But I was busy and wasn't attentive enough for that. So every time he bought a wrench back, that's a wrong sign. I'd say, "Hey, Schnee, look at
Yeah.
3/4. I give it back to him, so he'd take off and he'd come back with another wrench. that wasn't it. That wasn't it. And so I'm in a hurry to get someplace. And so I start getting a little irritated. And pretty soon I hear a wagon coming, one of those little red wagons. And I'm
Yeah.
underneath the car. And so he pushes the whole wagon underneath. So all the tools are inside the wagon. And that's when I realized that Okshina, I
Oh,
depend on him so much,
Sila.
for little things. And that's the learning process.
Yeah.
Then I start thinking about that as one way to teach children by associating an experience with the word. And so wichinchala, I noticed that my daughters would always ask me if I wanted any specific, I wanted coffee or if I
Oh,
wanted to eat, or they were always asking me things. And so that's where the wichinchala to me became
Yeah.
part of my language, wichinchala.
etch it too. Oh,
And then the word mitakuye owasi, I've often thought about that. And so in various different conversations, I'd say, what is the origin of this mitakuye owasi?
mm-hmm.
And the interpretation is all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
So relatives all over the world,
Oh,
Mitakuye, meaning my relatives. And wasi is like
everywhere. Yeah.
something in a natural phenomena kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I was going to say all my relatives, to me would be mitaku iuha.
You hoppy. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I've often heard other elderly men say, ask the same or make the same observance,
Mm-hmm.
So I can associate to both and go with that and learn both words. And so holistically, learning a language, you have to be very holistic. Because if you don't have that, it can be very, how would you say it? You feel a little downgraded when people say, well, Hetchatushni, that's not the way it is. That's not how we say it. That's how they say it. And so we step into what we call ethnosensitivity.
Yeah.
Ethnosensitivity. And so we overcome that and make it realize that so much impact has happened to our language from dominant societies that we are affected by those things.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is that you have to study the words and break them down to get understanding of it,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then also to remember that this is something I brought up way down in the St. Tegeliska University when my friend Albert Whitehat invited me
Oh.
to come and do a presentation to his class at St. Tegeliska University.
Mm-hmm.
And so after class was over and I showed him methodology, how I work with language. And finally I asked him, I said, I have something I want your opinion on. And it's just something from my own perspective. But when people say Tonkashila or Tonkashina or Tonkashida, I think of my grandfather. I said, but when you go back long before historically go back long before the pipe, what was the entity? What was it that they used for guidance and an entity as part of their prayers? And I started looking at the word Tonkashila, and I realized that Ton is something of origin, a beginning,
Oh.
something really old,
Mm-hmm.
and to be born. And then the word Wakan, I remember my mom, I seen an animal on the road that was deteriorating. You could see flies and maggots all over it. And so I asked my mom, I said, she said, well, not aya. And that stuck on me. And it says, that's like, it's going back to its original self.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so I started talking about that. And then the term la on the end of a word is a term of endearment. And so I said, when we go back and look at stones, they're called tongka. He said, so those existed long before, this later coming of the sacred pipe. They had those for specific reasons to find lost articles or to find lost, find buffalo or whatever it is that they were prayed for. That was their means of asking for help from the higher powers, grandfathers.
Yeah.
And there we go again, gosh. And so I said, to me, I said, I think this originally supposed to be Tronka Waka Ishila. And I thought to myself, I said, what do you think about that? I said, Tronka Waka Ishila, to ask these sacred stones for their guidance or their help.
Yeah.
And everybody sat there kind of bewildered and much was said about it. And so we ended the class and I thought to myself, I said, I really, really hope that someday in my learning, I'll come across something that's going to verify that.
Oh,
Just like the horse, the coming of the horse. They say that it came over through the Alaska and down to the United States, but there's evidence now that says that the first horse was found on this continent.
yeah.
We
but
actually
it-
have the remnants of it in up in Canada at Regina Museum. They have photographs and pictures of it. And I know a story about that because I said, gee, I don't know. I believe that those horses came here because it seems like something like that would there be some connection to our stories or our history. So importantly to me, addressing this kinship terminology is what I'm teaching kids firsthand or immediately. I said, how many of you are calling your dad Ate? Or how many are calling your mom Ina? Or how many are calling your older brother, your family, the oldest boy, Chaske? And down the line, the girls we knew. And so they're picking it up pretty good. I said, see where you're at in this family breakdown. Because
Yeah.
many years ago, it was an honor to have big families.
Mhm.
Big families enabled you to do a lot more.
Yeah.
As far as breaking camp, providing food, hunting, and all that kind of stuff.
Strength in numbers. Yeah.
Yeah.
That should.
But I wanted to make sure and get you guys to maybe and somehow incorporate into your curriculum that long before the horses came, I mean, there was young men designated to attract buffalo,
Yeah.
and people would use wet deer hides, snap them to make that sound that scared the buffalo because their visions are not the greatest.
Yeah.
They will follow. And so they would circle and they would pop those and herd them up and send them to a cliff.
Yeah.
And so those boys would be stand ready and they would run in front of the herd and then jump on a ledge or a piece of string or something. So the buffalo followed. In the process, broken legs, and, broken necks and things like that. So people could find it easier to get their nutrition, the buffalo. So somehow to me that aspect of it before the horse there was a lot of danger. there was a lot of bravery going on, about being able to ride a horse about 30 miles an hour with no saddle and bow and arrow and hit it in the heart. I mean, you
Yeah.
had to be skilled,
Courageous. Yeah.
yeah, very strong. But anyway, to me, that terminology you have to put to use, like Chingshi and Chungshi. Call your son Chingshi and Chungshi, daughter. So the enunciation and pronunciation of these words are very honorable.
Oh.
Years ago, you did not address individuals by their name.
Oh.
You had to identify them by their kinship term.
Relationship. Yeah.
If you didn't do that, then you had to honor, you had to bestow a gift or a favor, waishi, or an apology. And say, for instance, if I was to say somebody by the wrong name and call, like say their name was Red Horse, and I said that publicly, then I'd have to make sure that I apologize. I said, I'm sorry, and because that's very important, because when something is witnessed and seen in community of Tiwahe. And if you wonder, as a matter of concern, you approach the family and say, "Chaskeni tkawa, tagi chungi lila washtema balake." And so I saw your son do something very good today. All right. But you didn't mention his name, but they knew exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it worked vice versa too. Something was done that was not morally acceptable, and they would approach it in the same way.
Respectfully. Yeah.
Yeah, respectfully.
Oh,
So so nowadays, we belong to two worlds. So, we have to try our best to stay in those contexts, especially for our elderly.
Chie, in nowadays in contemporary way, when you carry on those things, they make things so conditional. Like me,
Yeah.
I always try to refer to the older ladies as mitroin, and if they're my adopted moms, ina and
Yeah.
ade, all that. But people think, well, why are you calling me that? You want something? And no. They don't understand the respect. They make like you want some. I don't want nothing. I'm respecting myself based on my teachings.
Your
And they
spirit.
come, they come from you and Albert, Kola Albert, remember? Yeah, and you heard that story about Wichasha, right? And
Yeah.
and again, that precipitated from Kola Albert. He was the one trying to help us understand, like yourself. Like he shared that story with me as well about Tuncha. He made reference of Tukashila is that means something older than snow. He told me, and that
Yeah.
means the origins, eh? And he said it's in reference to something that helps all the time. And he said you're referencing the stones, just like what you said. And you see, it's based on our teachings, and we want to make it easier or so simple that it's not our way. We need to understand the importance of that's why we were so healthy, is because we were so respectful, firstly to ourselves, and as well even more so to others. And we didn't lose it, we just don't utilize it as appropriately as we should. And that's what we're trying to do. That's why family is so important. The responsibility of this, like what you were saying, this matriarchal perspective, understanding who's the boss, and understanding who's going to feed me. Dad will feed me, mom will cook it and make sure I get my portion, all that good stuff. She was the boss in the teepee, eh? But see, that's the thing but like what you're saying, that's where it originates, is if you can't make reference and be respectful to yourself by sharing that respect, by referring to your mother and your auntie and your uncles in that way, it relates to your relationship, then you'll have it shows you have no respect for yourself, actually. And then you don't pick on that individual, like what you said. You go to the family and you say, well, I seen them do something good today. So you acknowledge that. And they're really, what you're really talking about is not necessarily the individual, but you're talking about their teachers. So you're kind of saying good things about their teachers. In this case would be their uncles or their aunties. And so they must have good teachers. And then of course the conversation would go on and say, who's teaching them that? And so then they'd refer to them. Well, could you teach my child that too? Because I want him to be a good kid too, or her to be a good woman, kind of like that. So there was a definitely won't speak a little stella that were amongst us, some better than others. And so that's how we do that, and that's how we acknowledge that relationship. I hope I'm not talking over anybody's head, but we just wanted to share that. And that's why Chie Earl is such an addition to the explanation, the definition, the origins of our cultural societies, and the importance of that, but precipitating from the family structure. That's where our strength is, that good, strong mother that was in the home, the matriarch that kind of, and above her was the grandma. The grandma was even more important because she had that wisdom, and she was so gracious. They let you get away with anything, give you anything you want, because they could send you home to mom and dad. Watch that.
Yeah. There was one other thing topic I would like to suggest for one of your is humor.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be a good topic of how we have made it through with our humor,
Yeah.
because I always remember how difficult it was to go to a public school and then having to see so many my uncles.
Somebody must be on a laptop there with you because you're getting a feedback. Shit.
Hey,
I think it
somebody
might
put
be
on a
his
laptop,
cell phone. He's on his cell phone as well, so maybe
cell phone. You're on my some.
Yeah, you're
somebody-
getting feedback.
Look, sir, at 2 o'clock later. I'll call you back.
I told him. Oh,
But she
what's
makes
that?
my soup and fry bread. So
Yeah, yeah.
whenever she's got some ready, we always, you know. But anyway, I think that topic, and then most importantly, I said, I really feel that, when this thing all lets up, I think a demonstration on the etiquette and protocol of the drum
Yep.
would
Yeah.
be a good thing to have
Catch it too. Oh,
at the
you
college,
bet. Yeah.
you know, because well, now I'm got 72 and getting hookish knee.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
not
Forgetful.
as active or not as what's name as I'd like to be. I have to rely on others to do everything, and so that'll fit into our next topic, extended family.
Yeah. And all of these things, and I think that's key because again, Chia, these are all getting archived, and so this information, we're just not talking into the wind. These are going to be archived, and we're going to utilize them as a reference to where we're promoting critical thinking. So all of those that are on here, they understand the importance of being intuitive and utilizing this information. You process it, but again, it goes to your heart and then it comes out. And so when you say that, that's exactly what you mean. You mean what you say and you say what you mean. And so the definition and the appropriateness of these words is key because it helps you understand the importance of that respect that even speaking the languages do. There's no sarcasm when we speak our language, eh?
All
It's
positive,
always, yeah, it's always respectful. And see, people don't understand that, but yet we've been influenced by a more colonized perspective, and we're trying to remain and maintain that apoliticalness because we don't want to afford this opportunity to be ruined by politics or personal agendas. We'd like to share it based on critical thinking, based on our ability to process this information you receive. And if it works for you, fine. If it don't work for you, that's fine too. It's all good. But the foundation, the basis has been shared with you. Hey, yeah. And Chie Earl is one of my main guys that I would refer to. He'd visit, and I'd go visit with Albert Whitehat, and he'd tell me, share with me stories and stuff like that. And of course, we would tease every time we'd get together. We'd tease. Oh man, Albert just teased the heck out of me. Tommy, I Kuchiala one on okay. I said, oh, well, come down here with me then, because he danced too, and we tried to dance. He said, oh, one of these days I'm going to get you, Tommy Christian. And but then he would share with me stories, and I'd say, oh man, he talked to me about these words and whatnot. Same way Chie Earl did with me. He tried to teach me how to sing. Craig kicked my drum off this my stick off the drum. How many times? Craig, champion dancer, and you can't even keep time. But in that whole process, that's teasing, and then they watch us, and if we get our feelings hurt, then they understand, well, he needs to develop more, he needs to get stronger in his character so he can carry that. That's what that teasing is about. But nowadays these young people, they get all butt hurt because you tease them and they take it personal. It's not intended to be malicious. It's intended to see if you're strong enough to handle that teasing as we do. I remember one time me and Earl went to Sundance down here at Chelsea, and I went down there just help him out. Earl's got all these dandy Sundance songs, so he's gonna go help him out. We sat down here. Hishmawi Chasha, and Ia sicha ota, holy crap. He really talked tough to us. Oh man, he jumped up because we shook everybody's hand around the drum and we didn't know him. Here he's a big hairy guy, had a big beard and stuff. Here he got up and cussed us out. Oh man. I said, what the heck? Who do you guys think you are? You didn't shake my hand because I'm a white guy. We don't know you. I said, I told him, I said, hey, Nitakaye. He said, no, that's your relative. I said, no, that's not mine. But even at that holy place, that's we had to tease each, and then we never quit after that. Just got worse after that. After you got mad and left, we just teasing each other. Oh, great! But even at a place like that where we were, Wachekia, this heartfelt cry of these oloa, these songs we're sharing for the sake of the dancers and helping them not to be penguining it, but to kind of show passion and get into it, give them, encourage them with these songs. And boy, that was a beautiful day. And then remember, Earl, after that, after that, they had that puppy ceremony and we were
Oh,
standing
man.
behind these two Wasichuias. And
Those
they're
Oriental
bringing
women.
that head out. And those two white women kind of stepped back, and Earl, of course, right away he said, he said, I'm gonna take a big bite when that comes right behind the ear on that puppy head is the best place. He said, did you bring your salt? Christ, supposed to be kind of holy and kind of ritualistic. And those two white ladies really listening to us, and they kind of stepped back, and we pushed them back up there so that they'd get a piece of that puppy meat. And, yeah,
It's
that's
Hioka
that's
time.
kind
Huh?
of.
When you're talking about years ago that these steamboats going up the river, coming from the south 3/8 up to Bismarck, Mandan, they needed wood to propel their boats, And I was told this by a guy named Professor Mardian at Mary College many years ago.
Yeah.
You mentioned it and it popped in my head. Anyway, they left this guy to watch their house. They had to go somewhere. They had a log house. And he noticed that they were, buying wood and needing wood for those boats and stuff. So
Yeah.
he sold their house.
For wood.
He got back and he had the money and stuff. He said, get another one, buy another one.
Do
There was a
anything.
comment. There was a comment and a request. I didn't get to read it from Becky.
Maybe.
Something about non-native response or something.
Maybe do
I
one
like Becky.
for non-native etiquette. I asked too many questions, it says. That would be great, Becky. I would appreciate that topic. Well, yeah. Becky, in respects to what your request is, see, that's the balance we're wishing to achieve based on this critical thought. How do I belong? Because our belief is in the Changleshka, the circle of life. It's based on inclusivity. We include everything and everybody. When I finish praying, you'll hear me say, Mitake Oasi, but I also say, Wa Makashka Oasi. And that includes everything, like my older brother here was explaining to us. Oasi, that's everything all over. And then Wa Makashka is the animals and all that creation. That's why we say that. But it's understanding when we refer to human beings, we refer to them as huhunupa. That's all the two-legged. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, red, yellow, whatever, Chinese, gay suna, that one braid in the back, whatever. But you're still included because, again, in our spiritual way, we always make reference to huhunupa, the human beings. That one old man one time, Chie, he said, Lakota he macha tokehia, Lakota wa macha tokehia. And they said, what did he say? He said, you're Indian first and I'm an Indian first. And here that guy got offended. He said, I'm not no Indian. I said, that's not what he intended to say. What he meant was You're a human being first, and I'm a human being first. And that's that inclusivity. And, as it relates to the intent of the manner in which we go forward in Lakota, Dakota, Nakota way of life, it represents way of life that's very hard. They say that all the time. You'll always hear that because it has nothing to do with no jobs, no car, no house, nothing like that. It has everything to do with lack of character, our limited character to deal with life's human beings' way of thinking and whatnot. And so, in that, we try to structure ourselves to always be helpful based on this ability to exercise these virtues that we're blessed with. Because again, no, it's not a blessing, it's a virtue that we need to exercise each and every day so that we can get stronger. So yes, we that's the purpose of this whole thing, is to wish for reciprocity. Now, we've afforded our non-Indian relatives an opportunity to share with us. Now we'd like to share back. And then what we're doing as a result of that, uh, based on that exercise of where we can get along, we're teaching our young people how to do just that, eh? And so that's yes, of course, that's naturally the way to think, and that non-native etiquette is important because we don't really address it because we live it every day. That moral ethical value system is definitely lived each and every day, but yet we feel that um our indigenous belief system based on natural law is not afforded the same uh, reciprocal way attitude towards it. So that's what we're doing. That's why we're bringing it about in the college with the college students, because hopefully we're wishing this to become the catalyst. That's why we're introducing Chie Earl into this whole thing to help us understand the importance of that basis and that foundation. Do you feel that, Toshka, Elijah?
Oh, yeah. I really appreciate a deeper explanation from both you gentlemen, just because as a student of the language, I appreciate how it connects us to people. If we're not related or make you related somehow, I'll call you a relative term. Um, and I think that's how we establish, like you said, respect. And there's less of a tendency to have harsh words to one another. And at the beginning, we treat each other with respect, and then it sets a good foundation for healthy relationships. And I think mental health, one of the main things the whole podcast is mental health. And as we've stated before, one of the biggest resources is the culture. So we want to leverage that and then hopefully share as much as we can. And so I definitely appreciate everybody's comments and whatnot. But we do have to close it up here pretty
I
soon.
was just going to mention that. Yeah.
If there's any other questions, I know an hour isn't even long enough. I wish we could do this 2 hours, maybe even 3 hours. We might have to extend our broadcasting a little bit, just because it's such a rich content.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
hopefully we can continue to have Earl weekly, and it's
Yeah.
definitely a great addition. And I'm definitely happy all the students are able to show up. So unless there's anything else, do you have anything else you want to share? Dekshi, Earl, Dekshi, Tommy, are we? Ashtehe?
Oh,
Uh-huh. Hombatakipi. So this is the part where we say Dokshta Ake. We will see you next week. Have a great day. Ampetu washte yohapo.
Oh.
oh.
Hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya hey ya hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya hey ha ya hey ya hey yo Fort Beck Community College Ukiebino yo me too gashi dagush kashka iyogi no yo wata pepe agi tabi Hachia ya bino. Hey yo, hey yo. Hey ha ya, hey ha ya, hey ya, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. Hey ha ya, hey ya yo. Hey ha, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. Hey ha ya, hey ha. Hey ha ya, hey ha ya, hey ha ya, hey ha yo, hey yo, hey yo. Fort Beck Community College, Ungiebino, yo, yo. Me too, gashi, dagush, kashka, yogi, piano, yo, yo. Wata, baby, hagik, tabi, ichachia, ya, bino, hey, yo, hey, yo. Hey ha ya, hey ha ya, hey ya, hey ha yo, hey yo, hey yo. Hey ha ya, hey ya yo. Hey ya, hey ha yo, hey yo, hey yo. Hey ha ya, hey ha. Hey ha ya, hey ha ya. Hey ha ya, hey ya, hey ha, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. Fort Beck Community College, Ungiebino, yo, yo. Me too, gashi, dagush, kashka, yogi, piano, yo, yo. Wata, baby, hagik, tabi, ichachia, ya, bino, hey yo, hey yo. Hey ha ya, hey ha ya, hey ya, hey ha yo, hey yo, hey yo. Hey ha ya, hey ya yo. Hey ya, hey ha yo, hey yo, hey yo. Hey ha ya, hey ha. Hey ha ya, hey ha ya. Hey ha ya, hey ya, hey ha, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. Fort Beck Community College, Ungiebino, yo, yo. Me too, gashi, dagush, kashka, yogi, piano, yo, yo. Wata, pepe, hagik, tabi, ichachia, ya, bino.